What's up guys, my name is Ike. So I actually build these vans for a living. This right here is my third personal van. This is my van Patience. Come on and take a tour. So I really wanted this kitchen to be really compact and concise, while still feeling kind of big. These flip up countertops add some extra counter space, which is really nice in a small van like this. And then this backsplash, which I think is another highlight of this van. I spent a lot of time trying to get it all perfect. Tile keeps things super clean, really nice aesthetic, so I'm really happy with how that turned out. Right here is a 2-burner propane stove, and I actually have a 20-pound propane tank in a sealed box under there, which powers this stove. So that propane honestly lasts me like a year. The only thing I would change about this kitchen is somehow making a little bit more space over here, just because sometimes it's hard to fit like 2 pots and pans on here since it is so close to the wall, but it still works just fine. And then moving on to the sink, I have a 13 by 15 inch stainless steel sink, super deep, a little on the smaller side. Wish I could have fit a bigger one, but yet again, it's good for what it is. And then right here is a filtered water spigot, so filtered water, it's good in the van. I've got hot water and cold water. And as far as how much water I have in here, I have a 32-gallon fresh water tank and a 7-gallon gray water tank. This is my fridge. It is a Isotherm Cruise 85, the stainless steel version. It's got a little freezer up top, which is super nice. It's pretty efficient. This top drawer I think is super important to have in a van, like a good drawer that's super organized for like forks and spatulas and knives and stuff. Right here I have a microwave, which I just recently started using as an upper cabinet because it's free storage, might as well use it. So this first section is adjustable storage for like cups and bowls and stuff. And I made it adjustable just because it's hard to predict what you're actually gonna have in the van. And then this one's just wide open. It's good for like a blender or something like that. Right here is one of my favorite things to do in vans. It's like a cool curved shelf, and it's perfect for like keys, wallet, phone. I have a little charger in there as well if you have to charge something small. Moving on to some more storage. Underneath this bench, I have these 2 little trays. These trays actually pop out as well, revealing all of the systems and stuff. I just have 210 amp hours of lithium, and I left room for 1 more battery so I could have 315 if I wanted to. And then I have a 2000 watt inverter charger, Victron Orion 30 amp DC to DC charger, and a 30 amp solar charge controller, and that is powered by my 300 watts of solar on the roof. When I designed this van, I really wanted to make sure I utilized every square inch of space, and these pop-out trays really allowed me to do that. Got a nice Lagoon table right here for eating on or working. All of my cushions are made out of this marine vinyl, so you can spill stuff on them and they won't get dirty. Moving on to the walls and ceiling. I really like the slatted look, so I decided to go with that for this van. The slats are 1/8 inch Baltic birch, and then the backer is just 1/4 inch plywood on the walls, and then the ceiling is 1/8 inch plywood, just because this van is kind of not the tallest, so I really wanted to maximize the standing height in this van. Right above me right here is some storage. So in this drawer, I have a custom garbage can. Couldn't find a garbage can to fit this space, so I actually had to build it myself. And while building it, I figured out the perfect circumference that fit these garbage bags perfectly. Right here is my bathroom. This lid just pops off, and this is my separate tiny toilet. I recommend this toilet. It's pretty easy to clean and dispose of everything you have to. And it ended up in this location because honestly, this layout was so dense that this was the last place I could put it. So that's why it's here. But it kind of works out because it's so close to the sink, so close to the mirror. So in the mornings, it really does kind of feel like a little bathroom. What brought me to this lifestyle would be just having a very inexpensive way to travel around and live at the same time. I also really love to ski and mountain bike, and this thing has just been a perfect vessel for that. I graduated high school and instantly got right into a van, so I never really had the moment to learn what it was like to not live in a van. I obviously lived in a house my whole life with my parents, but right after that, instantly just graduated to a van. And honestly, it was a pretty smooth transition getting into van life. I was super excited about it because I love building things and I love like working on cars and stuff. And the van just seemed like a culmination of all my interests, and I was just beyond excited to start building. The build process came pretty easy for me. What I learned was the hardest thing was just having like the right space and the right tools and knowing all the right materials and components to use. But once I figured all that stuff out, everything turned out really well. Right here I have a Murphy bed, and I decided to go with the Murphy bed just because it's another way to eliminate chores. It takes about like 30 seconds-ish to set up, so not too bad. And I really wanted a low bed because having a high bed in a van is kind of annoying because you can't really like hang out in it, and making your bed is very annoying in such a small space. This is the bed all set up, and the widest portion is roughly like 55-ish inches wide. And it's a full 6 feet long, so it fits me just fine, and maybe one other person depending on how big they are. On this side right here, I like to call this my like wardrobe slash closet area. I've got two little like hanger rods there if you wanted to hang up some clothes, and then in the middle I have a hamper because at nighttime you just take your clothes off, throw them in there, super simple, and then light switch right there. So you have a nice easy light switch at nighttime, so you don't have to get up and hit those. And yeah, nice vibe, good reading light. Thought it'd be a little too like sterile if this whole wall was just white, and so I decided to make it a little green wall. And one cool thing about this is it hides some hidden secret seams that you guys will find out about in a second. This is what it looks like when it's down, and you can actually sit on it. I've had like almost 3 people hanging out on this thing, which is awesome. The van, I spent about $16,000 on it, and I bought it from this guy in LA. His company is Valley Auto Sales, and he specializes in kind of these older vans. And then I spent about roughly like 40-ish, 30 to 40 on the build. That's probably a lot more. I probably spent a lot more than that. But yeah, didn't go crazy with systems. I have a pretty simple electrical system. All my materials are fairly simple, and I did all the labor myself. So I'd say I'm in it around roughly 60-ish. And being able to have something like this for $60,000 is pretty good. Work on the road. So I actually build these vans for a living. This right here is my 3rd personal van, but in total I've probably built about like 30-ish, somewhere around there. I've worked for multiple van companies, and now I actually work for myself. Now on to one of my favorite parts of this van, the garage. Right here in this little crevice, I have a surfboard tunnel actually that tucks behind the Murphy bed. When designing this van, I recognized that the Murphy bed created a lot of dead space back here, so I figured a good way to utilize that would be a surfboard tunnel. And like the only way to fit like a long surfboard is for it to go all the way down the van, so this is really the only option for that. The mounting system for everything in here is just T-track, and that allows me to be able to add hooks here and there and be able to like change things depending on the season. One thing I really like about this garage is how everything is like always accessible. One con to having a garage like underneath the bed is that things can kind of get just lost and just buried in there. But this is just fully customizable and everything just stays accessible. The mountain bike mounts to a fork mount up there, and one cool thing about that is this metal section actually comes down, and to do that, this bike has to swivel out like so. A piece of advice that I'd give somebody that is watching this video and wants to get into van life, like looking into it from the outside, it can be very intimidating. Like, how do I get the money to do that? Where do I get the van? How do I build that? But if you're truly committed to it and you really want to do it, just set like super tiny goals for yourself. And if you like accomplish a bunch of those super tiny goals, in the long run, you'll be left with this creation that you didn't know was possible. So definitely break things into tiny bits, and then it'll build up and build up and build up into something much bigger than you could have ever expected. If any of you guys watching are looking for a van like this, hit me up. I'd be happy to chat. This van potentially might be posted for sale pretty soon. It is my baby, so I don't know if I'll actually sell it, but to the right person, I might sell it. You can reach me on Instagram at Ikey Baker, I-K-E-Y Baker, and then my company is Crafted Rigs. So yeah, hope to see you guys on the road.